While anticipating for the World Championship match to begin between Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi, which is about to begin very soon, let's take a closer look at the contender, Jan Nepomniachtchi from Russia. And for this purpose, let's take a look at his game against another legendary champion, Garry Kasparov, who was playing white in this game. And the game was played just a couple months ago in Croatia, and there was also a bit funny incident that happened at the beginning of this game. But before we move into it, let me first announce the winners of the giveaway, because in the last video I've announced the giveaway in honor of reaching the milestone of 150,000 subscribers. So to thank you, we had a giveaway, and the winners are mentioned in the description of the video. But additionally, to thank all of you guys for the participation, I decided to give some gift to all of you. Therefore, you can go to the description of the video and download for free my premium video, Press Your Opponents Like Carlsen, about how you can implement some of the ideas of Carlsen in your games, which as you can see normally costs $20. You can get it for free. That's once again my way of saying thank you for all of your support. Now let's come back to the game where Kasparov on the left against Nepomniachtchi on the right, and where Kasparov reportedly refused to shake hand of Nepomniachtchi. And you can take a look at this right here. But it actually seems a bit funny to me, because I'm not really sure if Kasparov deliberately refused to shake hand of Nepomniachtchi to demonstrate his disrespect. Let's just take a second back, because it's really funny. So at this point, he's offering his hand to Kasparov, but then he looks at the intimidating expression of Garry, and it looks like Nepo was a bit scared here, and instead he decides to slide his hand to the side smoothly. Just, if I'm slowing down, you can see it, as if he was just going to push the clock initially so that nobody can notice that he was afraid of Garry. I'm not sure if it's good quality for a contender to be such scared before the beginning of the game, but anyway, you can let me know your take on this. I'm not sure, of course, what happened there. Maybe Kasparov actually didn't want to shake his hand. So let me know in the comments if you know what happened right there, and now let's get to the game. Garry started with pawn to d4, Nepomniachtchi responds with knight to f6, they're going into the Nimzo defense, one of the most classical chess openings. Knight f3, d5, so far nothing out of the ordinary is going on, both players are just developing their pieces. Here Nepo goes knight to e4, he's a pretty aggressive player overall and he never misses an opportunity to attack, such as even in this early stage of the game he's already using the pin to put some extra pressure on this knight. Therefore Kasparov supports the knight by playing rook to c1, and here black goes knight to d7. The move which looks a bit awkward at first, as it blocks the way of the bishop as well as the queen, but it's got the point. Potentially the knight is ready to be relocated to f6 in the future to support the other knight, but it also has another hidden idea that we'll see on the next move. After Kasparov played pawn to e3, Black responded with pawn to g5, starting this early attack on the king side and aiming to capture the bishop on f4. And now you can see an additional idea of putting the knight to d7 so that it potentially covers this e5 square, making it harder for the white bishop to escape. And Kasparov moved it back to g3, and Nepomniachtchi kept pushing with his pawns, h5, threatening pawn to h4. What's the point here? The point is, the knight, of course, can never be captured because this knight is pinned. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing, what can white do about the upcoming move pawn to h4? If they just move their own pawn to give this escape square for the bishop, the problem for white is that black will take this bishop, forcing white to disrupt their pawns and weaken them, so that these pawns as well as the king are somewhat weak and black can attack them in the future. He can attack with the queen, maybe with the bishop, and it's going to be some long-term problem for white in this game. And therefore, normally, that's not what white wants to do. So let's play a couple moves back here. Instead, Kasparov played another move. He's not a defensive guy. He plays queen b3, trying to counterattack here on the queen side. He's threatening the bishop, he's threatening the pawn here, and therefore black needs to trade the bishop off. And now to support the pawn on d5 so that it's not captured, he played pawn to c6. And in this moment, Kasparov played a good-looking mistake, knight to d2. Overall, it certainly would be great for white to trade off this active knight from e4, but there is one problem here which we're about to see. Nepomniachtchi simply traded knights and then played pawn to h4. Now Kasparov goes inside with bishop to d6, a really powerful bishop here, cutting off the black king so that he can't castle anymore, and overall a strong piece. Kasparov probably was calculating the line for black to move their knight to f6, which looks pretty strong. Not only it attacks the bishop directly, but it also prepares knight e4, attacking both the king and the bishop. It may seem like white is in trouble, but it's not really the case. The bishop can simply go back to keep control of this diagonal and cutting the black's king off. And even though black can deliver this one check, it's just a single check, the king goes back, and white saves a pretty good position here. So again, they still having this strong bishop, they can drive away this knight from e4 anytime they want, and that's the position that Kasparov will surely enjoy playing. But instead of that, let's just get back to the position where Kasparov played bishop to d6. Instead of all that, instead of moving their knight to f6, Nepo just played queen to f6. A sudden move, and it turned out that Kasparov just blundered, because from here the queen delivers a double attack to the bishop and the pawn, and the white's position falls apart here real quickly after that. So it's interesting to see that not only we models blunder moves like that, but even Garry Kasparov is not free of blunders. So he played bishop a3 to save the bishop, but then queen certainly takes the pawn on f2, attacking the king, bishop e2, now knight goes to f6, preparing knight e4 attack. Kasparov played queen to b4, aiming for queen to e7 checkmate. It's interesting how he's still looking for his counter chances, and he's never giving up. But nevertheless, black plays knight e4 check, the king goes back to d1, and now Nepomniachtchi played pawn to c5, and white just resigned. He was upset, obviously, that queen e7 checkmate didn't work out, and you may still be surprised, why would white resign when the position still looks complicated? But the thing is, by playing pawn to c5, black blocks these diagonals so that they can never be checkmated like that, and if white takes it, the problem for white is that his position is completely destroyed. The king here is weak, the queen from f2 attacks everything here around, and black can just put his king to safety just to not worry about any potential checkmates in the center anymore, and after that he'll easily collect all of these pawns and will keep pushing the white king. So for example, if white plays queen d4 trying to protect this pawn, black can take here, and after rook f1 playing something like bishop g4 to attack this bishop and also the rook on f1, and you can easily see that black is going to be winning here. Kasparov knew that, and so he resigned right away. Overall, you can see that Nepomniachtchi is a very aggressive and creative player, and therefore I anticipate his World Championship match against Carlsen to be spectacular, much more interesting than previous matches of Carlsen against more defensive players, Caruana, Carlsen. And it's hard to say who's gonna win, but at least we'll definitely gonna enjoy the show. Anyway, if you have any predictions, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn how you can play similarly strong, well, maybe not as strong as these guys, but you can learn some secrets of the Russian chess school that made both Kasparov and Nepomniachtchi such strong players, you can click the link below the video and watch my free masterclass about that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.